From the first Corvette to the current model, the complete evolution of 70 years of luxury and speed. Imagine buying a car for $3,500 in 1953. Today, that same car is worth $300,000. No, this is not fiction. This is the real history of the Chevrolet Corvette. And the question that won't go away is investing in a Corvette a better deal than stocks, real estate, or even works of art? The answer will surprise you. January 1953, Waldorf Astoria Hotel, New York. General Motors presents to the world a revolutionary concept, a fiberglass sports car with only 2 seats and a futuristic look. The name? Corvette. Harley Earl, the visionary designer behind the project, had a bold dream to create the first truly American sports car. But what seemed like a guaranteed success almost turned into a nightmare. Only 300 units were produced in that first year, all white with red interiors and a 6-cylinder engine producing a modest 150 horsepower. The price? $3,498. To give you an idea, that was equivalent to more than 1 year of the average American salary at the time. Adjusted for inflation, it would be about $42,000 today. The problem was that the original Corvette was slow, weak, and expensive. Sales were a disaster. General Motors seriously considered canceling the project. What saved the Corvette from extinction? A 210-horsepower V8 engine installed in 1955. Suddenly, the ugly duckling turned into a high-performance swan. The car that was dying gained new life, and it was just the beginning of a legend that would span 70 decades. 1963. The Corvette is completely reborn. The legendary Stingray emerges. Hidden headlights, split rear window, a futuristic design that looked like it came from another planet. The 327 cubic inch engine delivered up to 360 horsepower with fuel injection. Price? $4,252. Compared to the 53 model, it seemed expensive, but what this car represented was far greater than numbers. It was pure emotion on wheels. The 63 Stingray is still considered one of the most beautiful cars ever created. That split rear window, which lasted only 1 year, became the collector's hallmark. Today, an original split-window Stingray in perfect condition is worth between $150,000 and $250,000. The rarest models, like the Z06, can easily exceed $500,000. And are you following this journey? Have you noticed how the Corvette survived when everyone thought it was going to die? Tell me in the comments, would you have invested in a Corvette in '53, or would you have thought it was madness to pay $3,500 for an experimental car?
The 70s brought brutal challenges. Environmental laws choked the engines. The oil crisis crushed sports cars. Ferrari, Lamborghini, everyone suffered. The Corvette, too. Power dropped. The design became softer. But do you know what happened? The C3, that generation from 1968 to 1982, became the best-selling Corvette in history. Why? Because even with less power, it kept the dream alive. It was affordable. It was American. It was rebellious. When others died, the Corvette resisted. And that resistance was worth gold, literally. 1984 marked a technological revolution. The C4 arrived with onboard electronics, digital suspension, angular and aggressive design. It was the era of computers invading cars. In 1990, the ZR1 appeared with a 375-horsepower Lotus engine. Price? $58,995, an astronomical value for the time. But it was a supercar disguised as a Corvette. It went head-to-head with Ferrari. The problem? Extremely expensive maintenance, rare parts, complex mechanics. Today, an original ZR1 is worth between $45,000 and $70,000. In other words, it appreciated, but it didn't explode in value. Why? Because the C4 was mass-produced, more than 50,000 units in the first year alone. The rarer it is, the more valuable it becomes. That is the golden rule of classic cars. 1997, the C5 arrives to redefine everything. Completely new chassis, rear-mounted engine, perfect weight balance. It wasn't just powerful, it was sophisticated, luxurious. A Corvette that could finally compete with Porsche not only in speed, but in refinement. In 2006, the C6 Z06 delivered 505 horsepower. In 2009, the ZR1 reached 638 horsepower. These are hypercar numbers. But the price? $110,000. While a Ferrari cost $300,000, the Corvette delivered 90% of the performance for one-third of the price. It was the democratic supercar. And then came the revolution. 2020. 8 generations later, General Motors did the unthinkable. It put the engine in the middle. The C8 was born. The era of the front-engine Corvette was over. Now it was like Ferrari, Lamborghini, McLaren. Mid-engine, radical design, 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in under 3 seconds. Starting price, $69,995. A real supercar for under $70,000. Impossible? No, it's Corvette. In 2025, the C8 ZR1 arrived with 1,064 horsepower. This twin-turbo 5.5-liter V8 is the most powerful engine ever built by General Motors. 0 to 60 miles per hour in 2.3 seconds. Top speed, 233 miles per hour. Price, $174,995. Sounds like a lot? A Porsche 911 GT3 RS costs $241,000 and has half the power. A Lamborghini Revuelto, $600,000. The Corvette ZR1 humiliates supercars that cost 3 times more.
Now let's get to the question that really matters. Is the Corvette an investment or an expensive passion? Let's look at the cold numbers. The 1953 Corvette cost $3,498. Today, it's worth between $125,000 and $300,000. A certified and rare model like VIN 3 can exceed $750,000. That represents an appreciation of more than 20,000%. If you had invested those $3,500 in the S&P 500 in '53 and left it there until today, you would have approximately $270,000. Did the Corvette win? Yes, but with huge asterisks, because you cannot forget to add specialized insurance, which costs from $3,000 to $10,000 per year, climate-controlled storage, $2,000 to $5,000 per year, preventative maintenance, $1,000 to $3,000 annually, full restoration, $50,000 to $150,000. Adding 70 years of costs, you easily spend another $100,000 or more. Suddenly, that huge profit shrinks significantly. And there's another detail: liquidity. You sell stocks in minutes. You sell a property in weeks or months. But selling a rare Corvette? It can take a year or more to find the right buyer willing to pay the fair price. And auction house commissions? 10 to 15% of the value. The art market works similarly. A Picasso can appreciate 5,000%, but it has the same problems: insurance costs, storage, authentication, and 0 immediate liquidity. Jewelry? Gold always has value, but historical appreciation is around 450% over 10 years. It loses badly to rare cars. Real estate? Consistent but slow. 500% in 10 years if you're lucky with the location. Now compare that with the '84 C4. It cost $21,000 at the time. Today, it's worth between $8,000 and $25,000. In other words, it didn't appreciate at all. In fact, it lost value when adjusted for inflation. Why? Mass production. 51,000 units in the first year. There is no scarcity. There is no exclusivity. That is the brutal difference between investing right and investing wrong. The Corvettes that truly appreciate are the rare ones. A 67 L88 worth $500,000. Only 20 were made. A 69 ZL1, only 2 exist. Estimated value, over $3 million. A 63 Grand Sport, 5 units produced. Value, over $8 million. These are the unicorns, the Corvettes that turn passion into fortune. But let's be honest, if you buy a brand new C8 today for $70,000, hoping it will become an investment, you're dreaming. General Motors produces about 30,000 Corvettes per year. In 10 years, that's 300,000 units. There is no scarcity. Unless you get an extremely limited special edition, your C8 will be worth $40,000 in 10 years, not $200,000. The rule is simple: low production, high demand, special history, impeccable condition. Without that, you just have an expensive used car.
So, the final verdict: does Corvette work as an investment? Yes, but only if you choose the right models, keep them in perfect condition, have the capital for the hidden costs, and the patience to wait decades. For 99% of people, it's better to buy S&P 500 stocks, let the money grow quietly, and if you want a Corvette, buy a used one to enjoy on weekends without worrying about appreciation. But if you're part of the 1% with true passion, deep market knowledge, available capital, and infinite patience, then yes, rare Corvettes can be a spectacular investment. They are tangible, exciting, and unlike stocks, you can drive your investment. And that feeling? Priceless. That's why billionaires collect rare Ferraris and Corvettes. It's not just money, it's legacy, history, mechanical art. It's owning a piece of American automotive history. 70 years, 8 generations, millions of dollars in appreciation for some models, depreciation for others. The Corvette proved it can be both a passion and a smart investment, but only if you know how to choose the right model. But you know what? In the end, no spreadsheet, no appreciation chart, no financial analysis can capture what it really means to own a Corvette. It's the roar of the V8 cutting through the silence of dawn. It's the feeling of your hands on the leather steering wheel as you accelerate down an empty road. It's the sparkle in your child's eyes when they see that car in the garage for the first time. It's the connection to an era when cars had soul, personality, history. You don't buy a Corvette with money alone. You buy it with passion, memories, and dreams. And that's the difference between a cold investor and a true enthusiast. The investor sees numbers. The passionate one sees freedom on 4 wheels. And when you finally understand that, you realize the true value of the Corvette was never in the price tag. It's in what it represents, the American dream of speed, rebellion, and freedom that never dies. And you? Would you invest in a classic Corvette, buy a brand new C8, or put everything into stocks? Comment with your strategy. And if you want more fascinating stories about legendary cars and deep financial analyses that no one else does, subscribe to the channel now and turn on notifications. Why? Because we still have dozens of explosive stories about cars that turned into gold, cars that turned into dust, and the secrets of the luxury automotive market that the rich don't want you to know. See you in the next video, and remember, dream big, but invest wisely.